start. No, I forgot all about it, and I didn't do the closed caption or anything. I got baby on the brain. Yeah.
Okay, well, we have two more projects. Let's keep going. The next one is presented by Lindsay King, and it's one of the projects that's been around for, gosh, Lindsay, several months now, bumping from month to month. And they called me kind of right before I issued these and said, let's try to get it on. But it's a 414 La Crescencia Drive. And it's basically an SDP for the construction of a new detached 1,940 square foot 4-car garage with a mezzanine above. This is up in the elite area of the Bayside of Point Loma. And for the life of me, I can't get a view of any of the structures on the site. I mean, Google Maps shows them, but you can't, if you drive up the street, there's huge stone walls and the residence itself is behind gates. So it's possible it affects someone's view, but I really don't think so. With that though, Lindsay, you're with us? I see. Can you join the audio?
Yes.
And explain?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. And you can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Hi, I'm Lindsay King. I'm one of the principals at HLLK Architects. I'm here today, and I believe Kevin Smith, the client, is also attending the meeting in case anyone has questions.
Okay.
As Joe had mentioned, the property is 414 La Crescencia Drive. So we are east of Rosecrans, heading up into the wooded area. It is hillside, so as you can see from our aerial view, this house is below us and the surrounding houses are above us. And as we'll kind of show you in some of our documents, this new garage actually is not even as tall as some of the other buildings that are currently on the site. This is kind of an overview just to kind of give you an idea. It is a 0.6 acre site in Point Loma, so a rather large site. I know previously in the meeting, what's come up is historical issues. So this is the old Jessup residence.
Right.
We, in July, on the 28th, we presented to HRB and we had the site designated. So it's a historically designated site now. We've been working with DSD on every renovation that has happened at the site. So that way everything follows US Secretary of Interior standards for historic preservation. We've worked with historical, and the garage they feel is in conformance with historical preservation for the site, since it will be designated by the time the SDP records. And as Joe mentioned, it is a SDP, and that's mainly because of the hillsides that are present on the site. So this is kind of an overview of the site plan. So from La Crescencia, we have a kind of steep and meandering driveway. It starts off as being shared, excuse me, but with the neighbors, and then continues onwards and upwards to the Smith residence. The Jessup house, which was built in 1929, is all the way at the top. What we're proposing about halfway up the driveway to the main residence is a rather large flat pad that is currently being used for parking. And so we're proposing putting kind of a terraced 4-car garage at that location.
And how are you straddling a property line?
The property line is down here.
What's the line that's dashed that goes right there through the middle of your building? Vertically.
Oh, this is a parcel tie.
So you are straddling a property line.
Yeah, they're already tied together though.
Oh, they're already tied. Okay.
It's merged. I assume it's merged.
Okay, so that line's really not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's really not there. It's how it shows up on our survey and everything. So we continue to show it. But yeah, the property is lots 20 and 21.
Okay.
Yeah, if you recall, about 5 years ago, they proposed a development up there that was declined.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was, we saw the plans for it. I think it was 4 units. So, yeah, so, this is a garage only that will provide parking for the house. I'll continue down, and then there's one small kind of parking area that we're proposing immediately adjacent to that exterior.
Yeah, can you show us
So-
sheet 6?
Sorry?
Can you show us sheet 6? 06?
I have them arranged slightly differently. Can you tell me what's on the sheet?
Floor plans.
Okay,
There you go.
yeah. So this is the floor plan. So there's, as I mentioned, one parking space adjacent. We're calling as you continue up the hill, we're calling this the lower garage because we are trying to keep it as close to existing grade as possible. And then as you continue up the steep hillside, we're about 2 feet taller at this location. So this is the upper garage. And then above the lower garage, we are putting in a mezzanine. And as you can see from this lower floor, the floor plan at the bottom of my presentation, a portion of it, because the roofs are pitched, will reach a height of about 6'8". So that way the applicant has room for storage. The house on the site is relatively small for such a large lot. And so a garage and storage are kind of critical for their use. So the main level of the garage is 1,202 square feet. And then the mezzanine, this area here is another 560 square feet. And then the site, this area of the site does need to utilize phantom floor because of the hillside, which I can show you some elevations of what that looks like. The hillside dropping kind of below this, terracing away. We do end up with about 178 square feet of phantom floor. And that puts the total for the garage at 1,940 square feet. In total, that brings the gross floor area for the site to 5,388, which puts the FAR at 0.196, which for the 0.6 acre lot, the allowable floor area is 0.45. So overall development on this site is relatively low. The roofs follow kind of the architecture of the existing main house. We've proposed some locations for solar along the backside. Let's see, I kind of jumped around a little bit.
Can you show us sheet A8?
Can you tell, sorry, what's on it?
Oh, it's the section, and there's an elevation and a section, a north elevation and a west section elevation.
Okay, let me,
You've changed your sheets from the ones I have. There's one that illustrates the phantom floor in the steep area. There you go.
there you go. So the top of this sheet, this is showing the main house in the distance. We previously had the last project, we converted the existing 2-car garage to a guest suite for the residents. The owner is now using it as his office. And there's kind of this little glass bridge that connects the two. And then you can see how as the site slopes away, the garage ends up being quite a bit lower than the main residence. So the pitch of the existing roof is quite a bit higher than the pitch of the proposed roof. But these sections, as you mentioned, do show how the site kind of starts sloping away. And it's this area under here that for the city municipal code, we have to count as phantom floor. Likewise, there's a small section in the attic also that needs to be counted as phantom floor. Let me go back up. Sorry to jump around. This is an image of the existing house up here, and the garage addition the guest suite addition that was previously done. We're planning on proposing similar materials for the new garage. So we'll be following the smooth stucco on the main house, using the same roof roof shingles that we've been using. The whole property has this really beautiful hand woven rope railing. So that'll be around the parking spot next to the garage, and just utilizing some of the detailing for windows and colors that we've used at the main house, so that it all kind of has a cohesive look to it.
So what looks like a tennis court net, that's a railing?
That's what I was gonna ask, Robert.
This is the railing over here.
What about that?
No,
in
the
middle of
tennis court, the
driveway?
net.
Looks like a tennis
That's a
court net.
pickleball net that they.
Is
that
it?
they
Oh,
have
okay.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Now, is this exempt from historical review since it's a new build, separated from the dwelling?
It's not, and we've already
Okay.
cleared historical, so it's in conformance. Because the site is designated historical, any future improvements to the site will have to go through the historical department at the city for them to give their okay. And so we have been working, when we came up with the initial design, we reached out to them to make sure that they felt that it was in conformance. So we've been working with them for the past 2 years on various aspects of the property.
It's nice to hear that there's a historical property being preserved.
Yes, so the owners have gone through a lot they remodeled and preserved the main residence with the expectation that they were planning to submit for designation. So that's always been, a goal. And so in July, when we got designation, we're there now. So it'll be something that continues to be preserved. It was under criterion B. So for the Jessup residents, it also was potentially up for designation because of the architecture as well.
I'm happy to make a motion on this project because you are going to have to go through all those historic guidelines and preservation tips. So I'm happy to make a motion on this project. Doesn't seem like it's gonna impact anybody else in that area. Joe,
I
correct?
don't think anyone can see it.
I don't really
know.
see it either.
I drove all over the place and I couldn't find a vantage of it to
Yeah.
save my life.
I think
Yeah,
we're safe on this one.
It's the
If we
elite
could have
area. of
found one, we
Oklahoma.
would have had a picture in here of it, but it's not easy to capture, from the street.
Thank you also for making a really good presentation too, that we can really see and understand.
Oh, great. You're welcome. We're
Lindsay,
happy to do it. We appreciate your time. Both Hillary and myself have sat on community group boards, so we're very familiar with the process and happy to participate.
And
Lindsay,
I'm glad.
what's the square footage of the main house and the garage conversion?
The main house with the garage conversion is 3,048 square feet.
Thank you.
Well, we have a motion and we have a second. Can I see a show of hands? Mark, do you have any comments? You look pensive there. Okay.
You just get a vote.
A hand wave.
1, 2,
All right.
1, 2.
go.
Sam,
No comment.
Margaret is yes.
We're voting.
what are you, Mark? Oh, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Lindsay, well done. I'm really glad to have gotten you off our books because it's been every month a phone call for seems like 6 months. I don't know.
Yeah,
Long time. I
it's
know
been a
you've
while.
been working on this. Isn't it amazing what it takes to get a garage built?
We're still waiting on the city, but we decided to move forward. So I'm glad we were on your agenda and, appreciate your time.
You're welcome. And we heard you heard me say previously a couple of times now, next Thursday at 6 p.m. is the full board presentation, and an abbreviated, just the pictures and the overview should be suffice.
Okay,
So it
great.
should be
We'll be
sufficient.
there.
Thank you. Well done.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
And our last project for today is our old friend, Tom King. And Tom, I see you're on the phone. This is the house that's at 4414 Bermuda Avenue. And I've subsequently, it's had to be postponed a couple of times because they were working on revisions. And unfortunately, it had to be postponed last month. I think, Tom, you had a family emergency. And this month you said, yeah, let's go ahead. I asked you about Mr. Marshall, and you said that you've had he's had kind of a change of heart. So can you please bring us up to speed with where it's gone since the last time we saw you several months ago?
Sure. So I presented this to you in May. So this is a project. It's an amendment to, actually, let me go ahead and share my screen if that's okay.
Sure.
So this is a project that's an amendment to a CDP that was pulled in 2020. At that time, the clients just pulled a CDP for a new ADU over an existing garage in the backyard. After they did that and they were pulling the building permit, they stopped and said, you know, this is a good opportunity to actually build the dream house we've always wanted in this area. They have a growing family. They have it's a couple with 3 children, one of whom has special needs. And they're living in about 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom house, so cramped quarters. So even though they were doing this ADU, thinking that that might be a residence for their daughter in the future with a living caregiver, they realized that the house really just needs more space. They had all these visions of capturing some view that they currently don't have, just because of the positioning of the house, the siting of the house. So we submitted this back in January of this year, this amendment, and I got my first draft comments back in April, presented to you guys in May. Now, during my presentation to you, in addition to the uphill neighbor, this is can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the uphill neighbor here, so this is the site, the street view. Single-story house built in the 1950s. The uphill neighbor had presented the same day I presented to you to express his concerns, because this is a house that he inherited that is a rental property for him. And he was concerned that his view over the house that currently is a 90-degree view unobstructed would be limited. A 20-degree portion of that, he would have to look over a ridge line of a single-story element that we're proposing. And that would, disrupt his view. After that presentation, he discontinued any dialogue with us or any attempt to reach out. He had, before that presentation, he had been in ongoing communication with the clients and also with the city project manager and city planning during the review of this. What he was really looking for was for either the city or the community planning group to try to impose a deeper setback, front yard setback than the municipal code currently has, which is a 15-foot front yard setback. He was trying to impose a 20-foot front yard setback so that none of his view from a single-story house, would be diminished. Since then, he's actually rented to his house to a new group of renters, 6 college students who apparently are quite loud and hang out in the yard smoking or drinking and occasionally shooting off fireworks, according to the clients. So not really a great neighbor, but anyway, he's out of the equation at this point. So during that presentation to you back in May, even though it wasn't, I already have my first draft comments from the city, they didn't call into question the way that I was calculating FAR, yet you guys called it into question and said that you disagreed with my interpretation, which actually I after a month and a half after that meeting, after dialogue with the city project manager and with city planning, what I came to learn is that the very vague language for exemptions for ADUs that I discussed with a planner back in November of last year, and he gave me the green light. He said, this is, you can actually add up to 800 square feet above FAR, even for new developments towards the ADU, if you need to.
What is that based on?
That was based on older language in the municipal code under exemptions for ADUs. So that language has changed, I discovered, as of April of this year, which is when I was getting my first draft comments. Now, to make this even more convoluted, what I also learned from planning is that, you know, the city is in ongoing dialogue with state coastal, trying to codify language on ADUs and what exemptions they'll allow in the coastal jurisdiction, what they won't. What I gained from that conversation was an understanding that all of this is still in flux. The language that's currently in the municipal code is not codified yet by state coastal. And this will probably be ongoing for at least a year, maybe even longer. So right now, any exemptions you see in the municipal code, there is a little almost disclaimer at the bottom that says that, you know, this is not yet codified. So none of that applies to the coastal overlay zone as of yet. So that's where we are. So what I ended up doing is, and actually, let me share with you a little tidbit I learned from planning, because both the planner who reviewed this and the city project manager agreed with my interpretation initially, until they went back and looked and realized that the language had changed. It had become more defined, and it doesn't even apply anyway. So we revert to the state codes, which does allow exemptions for additional square footage for ADUs, even on new developments above and beyond the FAR. But that's only if they're single story, no higher than 16 feet in height. So because we already had this designed as a second story addition over a garage, or I'm sorry, second story over a new garage, we didn't want to change that layout. So what we did is we went back, didn't get rid of any programmatic requirements, but we tried to diminish every room we thought could handle it, change the sizes. So we were initially 233 square feet over the allowable FAR, which is 0.58, which allows us 4,060 square feet total site development. We were able to squeeze out over 240 square feet just by diminishing the footprint size and some of the room sizes. So that was resubmitted to the city in mid to late August. I was supposed to have the second assessment letter by the end of last month. That has not happened yet. Speaking with the project manager, he thinks it's going to be another 3 to 4 weeks before engineering and planning catch up with the workload. So I've been on the docket to re-present this to you for a while, but we were redesigning it, we were resubmitting it, and then we're still waiting for city comments.
We heard your project 5 months ago, obviously, and Mark astutely pointed out some vagaries with the FAR, but you've addressed those. So I don't see why we weren't able to redocket you. So that's why you're before us today.
Correct. And it was just because we were redesigning it. So that's the reason it was taking so long. And as you pointed out last month, I had to cancel at the last minute because we had a family emergency. So thank you for seeing me again today. So this property is on Bermuda Avenue, near the corner of Santa Barbara. So it slopes westerly towards the ocean, rather steep street. The site itself, from this northeasterly corner down to this southwesterly corner, has about 12 feet of slope total. And you can see from this front street view, you walk up a very steep grade here just to get to the gate, and then you walk a couple more feet to get to the front door. At this point, that's about 8 feet of climb.
Can you go to your floor plan?
What's that?
Can you go to your actual floor plan?
Sure.
I'm losing.
This is the main level. What's that?
I'm losing your cursor. That's all.
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear what you said.
Oh, that your cursor was hard to see on the colored elevation. It was small.
Now, if you want, I can go to just black and white. Is this too convoluted?
Yeah, black and white is probably better.
Okay. Let me stop sharing this and share a different file here. let me go to the floor plan. So this is main level plan.
Okay.
So here, I was trying to avoid the need for ugly guardrails and handrails. So we started at the high side of the sidewalk, and we're coming in at an angle here. The reason for the rotation, I don't know if you remember this from my last presentation, standing on top of the roof of the existing house, I tried to determine what the best view corridors were for this site. And because they have a two-story house immediately to their west, and then they have an uphill neighbor to their east, they're kind of down in a hole. But the best view corridor for them isn't directly across the street. It's actually at about a 20-degree angle across the street as the grade slopes down. So we position the entire front of the house at that angle so that we capitalize on that view, even from the main level in the living room. And of course, this was a must-have for them. They wanted a kitchen with a breakfast nook that had the best view of the entire house. So that's why this is a single-story element. It's only two-story back here. So we only encroach beyond the existing extent of the house in a single-story element. Thinking of, the neighbor here uphill trying to preserve some of his view. That wasn't enough for him when he presented to you guys. So we come up no more than 3 risers at each run here with an intermediate landing. And then we arrive at this entry patio with a front door here. You walk into a living room, kitchen off of that, dining room. There is one main level bedroom. One of the considerations in all of this was aging in place. And obviously you can't get a wheelchair up the front. So we are trying to take access from the back alleyway into here, only including one step throughout the entire thing. So there's one step here from this alley access, placing this on crawl space to raise us up a couple feet from where it currently is. Because as I said, that we slope 12 feet from this point to this point. So we do have a main level bedroom, which will initially be one of the kids' bedrooms, but it will be a future potential master if they decide to age in place there and don't want to take the stairs all the time. So that's the main level. We have a garage back here off the alleyway and a third parking space that's uncovered. And then the ADU that we're proposing is above this. And we've, since the last presentation, we've put the washer dryer in the garage instead of in the ADU because we were trying to squeeze square footage out of it to stay within our FAR.
Can you show us briefly where you've squeezed square footage? I know that was important to Mark.
It's actually everywhere.
Everywhere.
So,
Okay.
this, well, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to zoom out. This whole wall was moved back about 2.5 feet. So the yard actually got larger. These walls were sucked in a little bit. And we were taking 6 inches here, a foot there, 1.5 feet there. So it's really the entire footprint that changed on all sides. It's, just to get the square footage out. So it's hard to tell you exactly where because it was out of every room. Like I would take a foot out of this room, I'd take a foot out of this room, I'd take 6 inches out of here. So it all just got more and more compressed.
Thank you.
What's your FAR now?
Our FAR, we're within 10 feet of the allowed, 10 square feet.
So what does that mean? You're 0.5?
We're 0.58,
Oh, you're at 0.58.
correct,
And you need to be at 0.58,
correct.
That's putting.
albeit 10 feet over the 0.58, 0.000 or whatever. Okay.
So when I say 10, within 10 feet, we're 10 feet square feet below.
Oh, I misinterpreted. I
No,
thought
no.
you said you were
So we're-
still 10 feet over
We're 10 square feet under the allowable FAR.
with the current
current
uncodified
plan.
laws, which could get less restrictive.
Correct. And the indications I'm getting from planning are that they will become less restrictive, but it's going to be a long drawn out process with state coastal partially because it's my understanding State Coastal is confronting potential lawsuits with people who don't want, larger ADUs right across the way from them. So it could be a long time before it's less restrictive, but that's the intent, is to make it less restrictive.
Okay.
So this is our upstairs plan. So we arrive from this radial stair up to a common room with a covered terrace here. And we have this outdoor kitchen out here so that they can actually capitalize on some views to the northwest when you have fireworks at SeaWorld, things of that nature. Some 4th of July fireworks they can see from that area because that's closer towards the heart of Ocean Beach. And then this is their primary view corridor. And then we have a relatively small master bedroom with a relatively large master bath comparatively, 2 kids' bedrooms, a very efficient efficiency washer dryer unit. This is, not a lot of closet space. That was one of the first things we cut out, was some closet space. We have a pass through here of some bifold windows and doors so that we have direct access to the outdoor kitchen, just to maximize this indoor outdoor feel at the upper level. So they'll probably hang out most of the time at this upper level. And then back here at the ADU, we come up some exterior stairs here to a deck. The deck we angled to correspond with the angle of the front of the house. And we come into a very small living room. They wanted me to maximize the kitchen in a very small space. And then we're calling this office bedroom 2, and then this other bedroom with a single bathroom. And like I said, they may rent this out in the future. It's unlikely, but what they're really thinking of is long-term for their daughter who needs a caregiver, that when she's an adult, she might live here with her caregiver.
Who may be their caregiver too.
That's a possibility, yes.
I have a quick question, and I'm sorry, and I apologize if I missed this, but what was the original date of the project when this started?
Well, they processed a coastal development permit for just an ADU back in 2020.
2020, okay.
2020, and we did this new plan and submitted it in January of this year.
Okay, great, thanks.
Now I'm actually going to, if you don't mind, stop sharing this screen and go back to my other file.
Sure.
Sorry, I had a different presentation queued up, and but I didn't realize it was going to be that difficult to read. So we have the elevations here. So these are, obviously the house is at an angle at the front. So this is a orthographic perpendicular to the angled plane of the front. That's why some of the lines are a little skewed. And then this is all area beyond. So it's not within this building envelope plane, angle building envelope plane. So these are height limits at the front. Oops, sorry. And then along the side yard here, we have this line of existing grade coming down. So we are elevating this slightly within the allowable retaining walls. You can have some stepped retaining walls at the front. This is to accommodate coming up to a level area that's level with the backyard to eliminate any steps, because currently there's steps down. Is this dash line clear to you guys right here?
Yeah, it's your pre-existing grade.
That's the existing grade. It steps up right here currently. And so we're trying to level all this out to get rid of the 4 or 5 steps that we currently have to get from the alley to the existing house. So that's how we're achieving that. And let's see. But we are at the front, just to make the entry more accommodating. We are stepping up a couple times here within the fence regulations. We can step up 3 feet, go back 3 feet, step up, in this case 2.5, because I don't want to add any guardrails. So we're stepping up a little bit there. So that's why this is above the existing grade, and we're just trying to level everything out with the existing backyard. Any questions on this elevation?
No.
No, okay. As far as style goes, we vacillated on this quite a bit. When I first was working on this project, they really loved the, what I think is kind of a worn out style at this point, of the farmhouse style. During the processing of the CDP, we actually transitioned a little bit to a more of a transitional Cape Cod. So it's modern take on Cape Cod with more modern windows, but the materiality would be painted shakes siding. We're on the fence as to whether that be hardy shake or whether it'll be regular shakes just painted, because we don't have to provide a 1 hour fire rating on this. And smooth white painted trim and some stonework and dark case aluminum clad windows. Probably not black, but a dark color. We have, let me go back to this page. So this is the existing. This would be, this is a very rough, it's not exactly to scale, but that's about what it would be. So you can see, like I said, they're down in a hole. We have a 2-story house adjacent to them, has a tall chimney right in the front, which isn't very helpful. So we're trying to see around that. So this is the straight on street view. And then we have.
While we're here, Tom, what about
Yes.
that curb cut? Are you guys doing anything with that curb cut there?
It'll be closed.
It will be closed. Okay.
Yes. And then this is the, oops. Sorry, my trackpad's a little touchy right now. So this is the east elevation, straight on orthographic. And then this is east elevation of the ADU and the garage. This is taken from the courtyard, common courtyard, looking north at the ADU, and this would be the garage here. This is taken from the courtyard looking the opposite direction. So this is the back of the front house. So we have 2 bedrooms up here. We have a bedroom here. We actually see through the living room through a covered patio towards the view at the main level. And then we have, this is that little balcony that would be looking towards fireworks. And then up here, you won't see that from anywhere from the ground level, but that's a belvedere just to allow some natural daylight in that upstairs common room. Since it has a chance of getting pretty dark during the day, since there's a covered patio off the south side of it. So we're just trying to bring in some natural daylight. And this was the alley view of the garage. And we will have some gates, a 5-foot high wall and some gates at this additional parking space, but we don't have that rendered yet.
Can you back up one page?
This way?
Where you had the rear elevation of the back of the house.
Oh, right here. Right, this is the rear elevation of the house.
Something looks different.
This changed quite a bit from the previous iteration, because we originally had a roof deck on top of all of this. So we had this large stone structure with a stairwell going up. So we eliminated the roof deck.
Okay, yeah, I see it now. Okay, I see it now. Okay, well, I mean,
And-
it looks like you've taken to heart all of Mark's comments from the last meeting and done, I think it's a very elegant floor plan. But I'd like to hear comments from the rest of the group.
Would you like me to stop sharing my screen?
Sure. Oh, you don't have to, you can leave that up.
Okay.
There very well may be people who do have comments on the plan, elevations, height, FAR, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Mr. Krensick, you're up first.
Oh, hey, thanks, Joe. Hey, I do remember the
the original approval on this back in 2020. I think we voted on it in January of 2020, and it was for a companion unit is what it was. So it wasn't even an ADU. So I was, happy to see that they've gone ahead and done this nice house. And I think the architecture and the plan and the FAR and the square footages and everything about the project is fine.
Mhm.
That's my comment. You did a good job, Tom.
Thank you.
It's kind of that Cape Cod rich vibe. Yeah, it's nice. It's very elegant. Any other comments?
Yeah, I had a comment.
Sure.
Tom, can I was looking at based on Mark's comment, the FARs, and then you had uncovered patios that weren't included. Can you go over that? They're very complex, and looking at the code, trying to decipher, well, should that be included in the FAR or not? I just don't have that level of expertise, but
Well, there are.
They seem to be more like a recessed type porches rather than balconies and livable space. So maybe you can go over that so you can understand that a little better.
Is this the area calculation you're talking about?
Yeah, which ones are the covered patios and the uncovered that you're not including in the FARs?
Well, covered patios are only included in the FAR if they're covered by habitable space. And you also have 100 square foot exemption of that. So if you can exclude 100 square feet of that covered area that's covered by habitable space towards your FAR. So the only area that's covered by habitable space is right here on the site plan. So we have some main level covered floor area that is covered, but this is less than 100 square feet. So that's why it's not included in the FAR calculation. At the upper level, those covered patios don't have anything above them. So those are exempt from the FAR calculation.
Yeah, can you go to that upper level and
Sure.
show them, just so I understand which is, so you're saying this outdoor kitchen that's, if you look at this, it looks pretty enclosed, but I guess and then the covered terrace, you're not including those in your FAR.
Correct, because they are more than, they meet the requirements of openness. There's a limitation to how closed off they can be. They have to be, can't remember, it's 40-50% open on 2 or 3 sides. Or on, I need to go back and look at the actual language, but I believe it's 2 sides. But so in the eyes of the municipal code, this is not included in FAR calculations.
Yeah, Tom, you are correct. It's open on 2 sides, and if you start closing it in, you're limited to 25% closure, 75% open in the coastal zone. So that's what I said. I think you're fine there with your open covered terraces.
Thanks for reminding me of the actual percentage there.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to thank Tom for a nice presentation and for his diligence in doing that homework and for being friendly and level-headed and knowing what he's talking about.
And making changes.
Yeah, we've had some real interesting applicants lately. So thank you so much, Tom, for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
With that, do we have a motion, anyone?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Robert,
I'll
second.
make that motion. Yeah.
Eric, okay. And can we have a vote, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Margaret, are you a yes?
Margaret, yes, yep.
That's
Okay.
unanimous again.
Tom, you are approved 8-0. Thank you very much for working with us. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you,
again,
guys.
And I'm really, really glad to have you out of that pile of monthly recall.
Me too.
It's been April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
Hey,
But
Tom.
next Thursday, 6 o'clock, you know the drill. please register and please make a brief presentation. But I think you have a lovely house. I think it's going to be a very, very striking house.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, Tom?
Yes.
Hey, that comment that we were talking about, the 800 square foot over the FAR, which I thought I was agreeing with you all along, because I heard the same thing from the city a year ago, that was allowed, but now it's only for a single story. ADUs can go above the 800 square feet, and we both know that's still not true in coastal.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right.
good to know.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Okay, well, we're now at 4:36. So unless anyone has any other comments they'd like to make or any discussion items they'd like to review. Yes, sir, Mr. Krenzik.
Hey, Joe, those first two projects with those cell sites, I swore that we didn't have to review those anymore.
I don't know, they're getting routed to me. I don't understand it. But
because we used to see them all the time, and they were like, like she said, they have 100 of them in her office. So if we have to review all of those, we're going to see hundreds and hundreds of, or not hundreds of these things, but 20 or 30 of them throughout our community over the next couple of years.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I thought they were exempt from having to go to public comment because of that, whatever that act that she quoted at the beginning of her presentation.
I don't know. She was insistent when we talked before the meeting that her planner was insistent that they come before this board.
Yeah, because my question that I didn't get to ask was, what are we approving? Is it a site development permit? Is it a coastal development permit? Is it
Well-
amended to some coastal development permit? What is it? Yeah,
It really doesn't say. It
no,
just goes straight into the text after the PRJ numbers.
yeah.
But wasn't the last one at the last meeting? I don't think you were there, Mark. It was a brand new tower going in. So I understand that.
He thought they were all exempted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I could see the last one coming to discussion because it was at that Point Loma. What's the name of that apartment building? It's gigantic over there.
The one
in part
behind
of-
the big
I think it's the
house.
Gables.
Yeah, the Gables. Yeah, at the Gables. That's the one. That was going in for the first time. So I understand it. But yeah, if we have to if we have to approve all
This
these
much.
different cell phone towers,
But Margaret,
what's the point of it?
I don't know if you were on the review for this one, but there was one on the outside of a dormitory at the NAS that everyone had a really hard time with because we're like, there's
Kids are
children
sleeping there.
Oh,
away in
no,
their
I didn't. I wasn't part of that one.
I think that was
makes
before you
sense.
joined the board, Margaret.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
And I had told the board at the time that at that exact time, I had a client who was a fertility surgeon, and he had his entire office lined with a Faraday shield, which is,
Oh my God.
and then after it was done, he discovered, I have absolutely no cell phone in my office. This sucks.
Oh my gosh, that's a great story. Oh,
my
wow.
So I don't know, Mark, to answer your question, but they are routed to us, so I'm processing them through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not going to see much of anything else. I think the only thing we're seeing now are CDPs and stuff anyway, because
Yep.
stuff doesn't have to come before us anymore. So, it might give us something to do.
No, trust me, we have a lot of projects lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got 12 now, you're scaring me. I thought 10 was bad enough.
No, it's now 12.
God.
But
Other
took-
planning groups
didn't
are
wanna-
also having struggles. They're getting pretty bombarded with projects as well. I went to Mission Hills group, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, and they were just backlogged as well, Joe, with projects.
I don't know. Maybe some of you other guys, maybe Mark, but we're getting absurd
Mm-hmm.
return
Yep.
slowness out of the city. 6 months to get an ADU assigned to a structural planner, just like nuts stuff.
That's
I think
insanity.
it's because they went digital. They converted everything and it completely shut down while they were making that conversion. And then
Wow.
everybody's got to get used to it. So nobody knows how to do it.
And
And
they're
all of that, I think, is what besides just the city moves like molasses.
And they're chronically understaffed. Every city I talk to is down by like 40–50% of their workforce in different departments.
Well, we're waiting for a judge to sign a court case and it's past the date, but the judge is backlogged like 2 to 3 months.
Oh my
Back,
gosh,
yeah,
everything is that way.
it's everything. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, this was a great meeting. I thank everyone for your patience and sticking with us. It's now 4:40. So I will close this meeting.